Hello everyone, I'm Casper. I'm the founder of Testeroni, where we help our clients make sure that they deliver their software fully cooked instead of half-baked. And here on YouTube, we help the aspiring QA engineers become test automation engineers one slice at a time. And today, we are going to have a discussion about a very hot topic nowadays. So you probably hear about AI all the time. You hear about these new models, what can they do, what they can't do, what's the limitation, and if there even is one. So you hear about AI all the time, and you also hear the fear-mongering that it's going to replace a lot of jobs, from the manual labor jobs to the creative ones, to developers, everyone. So allegedly, the IT specialists are also one of the groups that is at high risk here. And so developers, testers, DevOps, engineers, whoever you want to name, basically, if you want to, you can find articles trying to tell you that they are all basically doomed. And so how are we doomed as QA specialists too? So in short, does it even make sense to learn automation anymore if you are basically learning something that is going to be dead very soon? So in order to talk about that and to see it maybe from a little different perspective, let's jump to our whiteboard. So keeping all of this in mind, all these articles, all these news reports, all the things you can hear from the media, and also from people who are more closely entangled with the field of AI, it's easy to think that we are all basically doomed. And I think it's actually a good idea to try and think about that from a different perspective. So you hear about all these large language models and chatbots and things like that getting better and better. And of course, we can't really keep up with that. You can see that the rate at which they are learning is basically exponential, and it's getting even faster every day. And you see and hear all these reports that they are basically learning at a pace that is not something any of us could ever keep up with. And so I think that here it comes a pretty big fallacy that many people fall for when they try to imagine whether this means that we are all doomed in the field of IT or computer science, or however you want to frame it. I think that most of the people focus on that specific thing, which I just talked about, like how fast it is growing, how fast it is learning, how good it is at all these benchmarks, all these new shiny AI toys, AI code completion tools, AI this, AI that. But in order to actually think about the real, not the catchy news, catchy material, in order to really think about what it means to do quality assurance, and I think this is the overarching question, let's just ponder for a moment, what exactly does QA stand for? So let's try to answer this very question. QA, quality assurance, and I don't mean the meaning of the acronym. I mean actually, what is the problem that quality assurance as a whole? Don't try to limit yourself to automation, manual testing, this or that. Just quality assurance as a whole. What does it focus on? So it focuses on delivering quality, right? Cool. So that doesn't help us much. So let's try and think about, at the highest level of abstraction, what does quality assurance do? What is it aimed at? What is it trying to combat? And you may have all these ideas floating around right now, like problems with code, or bugs, or some errors that just slip through the cracks. And it's all good, but I want you to zoom out a bit further. And you may start to think about things like, for example, problems with the documentation, or problems with the specification and stuff like that. Now we are getting somewhere, but I want you to think about all of this at a even higher level of abstraction. So what does QA try to fight off? What is the goal of QA? And so zoom out even further. And if you think about all the other stuff that may come, project specifics or stuff like that, or organization culture and stuff like that, just zoom out even further. I don't want you to think of at a level of project, of team, of organization. Go further out and don't even focus on quality assurance only in the context of software engineering. Think about quality assurance as a whole. What does it try to do? And for me, the answer is that QA as a whole is trying to tame uncertainty. So QA is taming uncertainty. And I am using uncertainty as a kind of an umbrella term here, because what I mean by uncertainty is a lot of things. So like imprecision at various levels of analysis, human error, problems with communication, the bad documentation that we talked, or specification that we talked about a moment before. I am talking about uncertainty over the tools, the budget, the organization, about problems with not sharing enough information, or sharing wrong information, or people just not being able to communicate well, people being too vague in their communication. I mean, all of these things under the umbrella term of uncertainty. And if you want to use something as a replacement, you can use something like, imperfection or chaos, because that's also a good way to think about that QA is trying to tame the chaos. But I think uncertainty works well here, because it is something that if you are a QA engineer right now, I think you feel that on a daily basis. And if you work at any other job within the field, you also feel that uncertainty is floating all around. It's the imprecision, it's the vagueness, it's the problem that sometimes you don't even know what the conclusion is. You don't really know. One person says that this, the other person says that, and you don't know which one of them is actually telling the real reason, or the real goal, or the real problem, or the real solution, or the real anything. And you don't even know if either of them is doing that. And it's not because they are, trying to be malevolent. It's that actually they may not know either. We are just trying to do our best at the best guess that we have, and it is not always the best one you can have. And so basically QA is trying to tame that uncertainty, because that uncertainty, I believe, stands at the core of what is the problem that even makes quality assurance needed. So that's basically it. It's just that, of course, in principle, everything would be fine and dandy, and you would be moving at a steady pace because everything was, the features were clear cut, everything is discussed perfectly, everyone knows what they're doing and what they are going to be doing the next day. There are no errors, no problems. But the thing is that all those things that we are bringing under the umbrella term uncertainty are influencing that. So they are causing the other problems. So something at a high level, some decision which is a little imprecise, may snowball and kind of butterfly effect itself into problems at the lowest level of analysis, that suddenly people in one sprint, in one team, are working at a thing from different perspectives that they understood, and maybe neither of them is actually good. And this causes bugs, and this causes the things that I told you at the beginning not to think about right now, but now we are zooming in again. So all the things we talked about and the highest level of analysis are now zooming in to the problems at the bottom of all these hierarchies. So at the bottom, you have people who are making errors and are making, are creating bugs, or are causing the features not to work like they should. And that's why quality assurance is important, and it's important at every level of this analysis. And if you are a QA engineer right now, you can observe that in your field too, because in manual tests, it's no different. You basically quality assurance is as much of a communication practice as it is something that is tied to the technical knowledge. And the same goes for manual testing, and the same goes for automated testing. Like, solving the problem of the technicalities is just one very small part of the whole solution, of the whole formula that you have. Like I always try to stress, quality assurance is a multidisciplinary field, and you need to be good at many things in order to be good at QA. And so the problems that are arising, they are also multidisciplinary, and very often the discipline of good communication between people is something that is at the top of the skills that you need to have if you want to be a good QA engineer. Very often, and I would hazard a guess that always, good quality assurance is way more about communication and establishing communication and working on communication between the team members, between the levels of organization and stuff like that, than it is about technical skill. And so if we know that, we can now go back to the question of, will AI kill test automation and all the things we talked about of the various, chatbots getting better and better, and all the benchmarks that are flying around and everyone trying to flex their muscles to show that they have the best solution. It's all cool, but the problem is that QA is taming the uncertainty. It's not really about technicalities that much. Like, it is about technicalities because you have to know them, but it's not like that's the whole picture. And so AI getting better at technicalities and knowing every documentation of every tool you're ever going to use, and getting better at developing an app from a prompt, and getting better at fixing the bugs if you give it some sample of code, because it can compile it, analyze it, do some stuff runtime, and then do something with it. It's all cool, but it is not any kind of a replacement for a competent quality assurance engineer, because quality assurance is not about being the best at a given technical skill. It's about getting good at uncertainty at various levels of analysis. And this is something that AI actually struggles with. So you may very often observe that if you don't give it a prompt that is very clearly defined, it is not actually that good anymore. It may start hallucinating. It may start giving you answers that are not really something you were looking for. It may start adding details that you left that you left out that are not really something that you wanted. And you may say, yeah, this technology is pretty young and we will be able to actually go past that hurdle. Maybe not. So, but let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that we will be able to do that. But even then, it's still going to interact with human beings. It's going to interact with other humans, which are not going to be as perfect as it is. So the uncertainty, the way that this uncertainty gets born in this whole ecosystem is from humans, because we're imperfect and the information we are getting is imperfect, and the way we are communicate between ourselves is imperfect. Our emotions are getting in the way, and the flow of the organization is getting in the way. Our responsibilities are getting in the way. Time is getting in the way. So this uncertainty, this is a human component. And it's not a incompetent human component. It's just a human component, period, because we are all susceptible to this. So when you have AI in the equation, it's great that it can perform all this shiny new stuff and all these flashy actions. But the thing is, it's still going to need to somehow be put as a block into this whole jigsaw puzzle of uncertainty floating all around, of imprecise deadlines, of imprecise imprecise responsibilities, of problematic and vague documentation, and of very often changing specification and stuff like that. So this is something that's going to need to work with all the time, and herein lies the problem, because even if you try and reduce all the current problems with dealing with uncertainty that QA has, and even if you make it the best it can be at a given technical skill, it is still going to work with the human component of other members of the team, of the organization, of whatever it is going to be placed within. We're not, as the community of IT, having problems with software development because we have imprecise or imperfect tools. As a matter of fact, the tools are okay, they have always been. So the tools are not the problem. The problem is the imprecision, the vagueness, the problems with communication, the general uncertainty at every level and at every step of software development lifecycle. And as long as we have humans causing this, and we will always have that because this is the human component, once again, as long as we have humans causing all this garbage, for that long we're also going to need humans to take care of it. And you may now start to think, yeah, all right, Casper, so I get it, human component. But so when we have that human component at a team level, let's say we have some devs, we have some QAs, we have someone from the DevOps, we have, I don't know, some architects, engineers, designers, stuff like that. So what if we replace all of them with AI? Then we wouldn't have that problem. So maybe you are just speaking gibberish, Casper, because you are just focusing on QA all that time. And of course, if we just try and reduce QA from this equation and then suddenly get AI here, and of course there's a problem because then you have uncertainty from all the other members of the team. But when AI gets good enough, maybe we can just reduce everyone to AI. Maybe AI can develop, test, work with the cloud, work with the architecture and design its own designs and do both front and back end and all the coverage of tests. And so everything is just paradise then. So what are you talking about, Casper? Of course, we can't just reduce QA, but you just don't know how good it can be. And I'm like, all right. So you think that uncertainty only lies here at this level. So I have bad news for you. It's not. So it lives at every level of analysis, like we talked before, because the decisions at the very top may influence imprecision and uncertainty at every lower level that is snowballing into complete uncertainty or partial uncertainty, but big enough for QA engineers needed to step in at the lowest level of analysis. And you may say, all right, so when we have this kind of, I don't know, pyramid, we can't just remove this. So maybe if we go one level up and let's say we have, I don't know, product owners here and project managers, scrum masters, whoever you want to place here, maybe we can replace them with AI. Maybe AI gets good enough that it can just get a prompt from higher up, and then you don't need AI to oversee AI because it is just one big, gigantic solution that is going to take care of everything, and our life will be so much easier then. So we can just replace all of these people with AI then, and then you don't have the problem. So checkmate, Casper. Of course, we can't just remove the level at the team level. We can go one level above and we can replace those people with AI, and then we don't have the problem of uncertainty. So bad news again. We still are going to have the problems with uncertainty because uncertainty will still flow from the highest level of management. And the fact that we are reducing it at the lower levels, it doesn't change the fact that we are already starting off. This is like the cardinal sin. You start off with problems already, the problems of uncertainty. And you can say, all right, Casper, I won't let you in this. Let's go even up and let's, let's take investors here and shareholders and let's take the CEO himself and let's replace all of those people with AI too. And we are going to do that because AI is going to be so great that it's going to replace everyone. And well, to that, I just want to say that right now we are way past the point of thinking about whether it's sensible to work to learn test automation right now, and we are just creating the script for the next Terminator movie right now. And well, I just hope that we will be able to secure Arnold Schwarzenegger for the leading role. But to be honest with you, we can go up and up, and we can at the end, we may have the verdict that, well, if we replace every human on Earth with artificial intelligence, then we'll be able to do that. Yeah, maybe, but we are doing science fiction like right now, and not really trying to actually answer a sensible question within a feasible time frame. Like, yeah, maybe someday our robotic overlords will take over everything, and maybe aliens will come. Who knows? But for now, I don't really think that it's a great idea to add that into your equation of whether you should learn test automation or not. And as a side note, even if all of this were to happen, you should still think about the thing that if any organization would ever want to implement AI at such high power levels, and I don't mean high power in an organization like the CEO, I mean high power as in actually working with confidential data and actually working with the code base and actually giving it power to be destructive within the organization, there would be a good portion of problems coming with that, or for the way the corporate world is set up right now, and for the even not only corporate world, like for the way world as a whole is structured right now, with all the regulations and everything that's needed for finance, for healthcare, for everything, the way you need to treat the data and stuff like that. If we wanted to replace even a tiny bit of that with automation that would do that on its own without like human overseeing it, then we would have a big problem already, not to mention trying to like replace the whole pyramid with quality assurance. So that's also on a side note. But like, yeah, that's the side note of the changes needed to be made at a policy level of organizations and countries and everyone. So that's also something to keep in mind if you want to use that excuse for not learning. But the thing that I wanted to illustrate with that pyramid here is that your job is safe, both as a QA engineer, test automation engineer, everyone basically. For now, I don't really see a reason to actually be scared enough to try and suddenly shift your career or discard your learning efforts just because you heard something about the AI going to take over. So this kind of fear-mongering comes in waves and cycles. You may remember, well, you may not. I don't know if you were around back then, or if you were interested in that kinds of things. But the same thing was being said about test automation when it was being implemented. There was a lot of doomsday scenarios that now manual testing is basically doomed for failure. We don't need manual testers anymore. Why would we ever do manual tests anymore when we have all those shiny objects and all those frameworks and the tools, and now everything is going to be automated? So why would we need to pay people to do the same stuff over and over and to look over bugs and stuff like that, when we can just have all the automation doing that instead of them? And as you can see, here we are nowadays, and the job of the role of a manual tester, of a QA engineer, of a QA specialist, they are all very safe. So why weren't they like extinct because of this? And the answer to this is very simple. It's just that all the new things that come, they may make the things that already are evolve, but they are not automatically going to make all of them extinct. And I also recommend the video we have on the channel already, which was called Should You Automate Everything? It goes into detail about why manual testing is very important, why it is here to stay, why even trying to automate everything is not a good idea. And so, as you can see, the fact that test automation is already an established field, and we have had many new toys coming our way, and we have come a long way from the tools of the past to all the new things that are happening. Even then, it's not like it made manual testers obsolete and manual testing some relic of an old age. Not in the least. And I believe the same will go for AI and for the way it influences test automation. And you can say, yeah, but this time it's different. It's like it's the favorite saying of everyone participating in every like financial bubble since the dawn of humanity. Like, yeah, oh, okay, yeah, I get all this historical data, but this time is going to be different. Yeah, maybe not. So you may think that it's going to be different, but honestly, right now, I don't see a reason to believe that to such an extent that you are like putting all your chips on red and going all in. So keeping that in mind, I'll just believe that overthinking whether company X, Y, or Z is making the best chatbot and the best model and has the best benchmarks and is the fastest and is the best and is... I think all of this, as far as, because you can be passionate about it, that's one thing, but overthinking about all this stuff in order to determine whether you should pursue a career in test automation or in quality assurance as a whole, I think that is completely and utterly missing the forest for the trees. Like, this is not the way to go. And like I said, I believe AI will bring great new breakthroughs in most of our fields, and QA is not going to be any different. I believe that AI in quality assurance is going to be very important. I believe it is going to bring us a lot of new tools that are actually useful, and it is already doing that as we speak, even with the limitations it has because of the like baby era that it is in right now. I believe all of our jobs will evolve one way or another. I think some of them to a greater extent and some of them to a lesser extent, but still I believe all of our jobs will still evolve. And you may need to actually be able to adjust to all of that. But then again, you also need to adjust to all the other landscape changes. You need to adjust to all the new frameworks, all the new languages. That is also something that I'm stressing in different videos from the past, like which language should you choose? You should be able to adjust all the time because that's just the life in IT. And that's the life of a test automation engineer. You need to constantly be able to learn a new framework, learn a new language, learn a new tool. The way that things are wired up are changing, the tech stacks are changing, the problems also are changing, even if in like nature they are from the same category, they are changing a bit and you need to get used to them. So I think AI will change QA, and I think AI will greatly influence test automation engineer. But AI is not your enemy. It is going to actually be helpful, and it's going to, I think, with every year of it getting its maturity, it's going to be even better. And I believe that eventually it'll be a great aid to test automation, and it'll be used every day in your day-to-day life at work. But at the same time, like I said, quality assurance is dealing with uncertainty, not dealing with technology, not dealing with the limitations of a language, not dealing with the fact that your head cannot contain all the documentation. The reason that people say you should be scared of AI is no reason at all, because AI will be able to greatly help you with the shortcomings of human nature, but it is not going to replace you anytime soon, and it is not going to replace test automation engineers anytime soon, because it is still going to be able to work with uncertainty, which cannot be removed from human nature. And so as long as QA in every field is taming the uncertainty, for that long, you shouldn't really be worried about the fact that AI is getting better and better, because it is getting better and better for your benefit, and you should think about it like that. It will allow for better, faster, more reliable work on your end, and it'll just be another tool in the multidisciplinary toolkit that each and every one of us as test automation engineers needs to carry and needs to constantly, dust off and adjust and add new things too. So that's the way you should think about test automation, not some doomsday device that is like only sharpening its sword and waiting for you to go to sleep so that it can take over your kingdom. I don't think that's beneficial to anyone, and I don't think it's going to be true in any foreseeable future. And having said all that, I think we are ready to get into a wrap-up to once again underline the most important things that you should take away from this video. All right, so let's now do a quick summary. So first of all, you should remember that QA is taming the uncertainty. We've talked about that at length at our previous boards. So once again, QA is taming uncertainty. It is at the most general level, not something that is fighting off bugs. That's a very limited way of looking at quality. It is not something that is just there to assess that there is a given quality standard met for like your metrics or your or your code or stuff like that. And also for the metrics thing, I really recommend going to the video where I talk about it's called "You Are Not Your Pass Rate," and I talk about why the metrics are not the thing that you should be synonymous with, which is like a sin of a lot of organizations. But that's on a related note. So once again, QA is taming uncertainty. So that's the nature of QA. It's taming the vagueness, the imperfection, the problems at every level of analysis. That's the whole core concept behind QA. Secondly, AI is a great tool that will help test automation engineers. So once again, AI is a great tool. I'm underlining the tool because it's not some foreign entity trying to fight for domination. At least not yet. Let's not get into the Terminator, realms again. So AI is a great tool. It's as much as a tool and as little as a tool. So it is a tool in your tool belt, and it will greatly help you. And I think with every year it is going to help more. But it is there to be your aid and your companion. And even if you need to adjust a bit for that, so you will also need to adjust for all the other technologies and languages that are thrown your way. And they will be thrown your way all the time, because that's the nature of working in such a fast-moving field and in such a fast-paced environment as IT as a whole. So AI is no different to that. It's a great tool. It's developing rapidly, and that's great. And it will only help you as a test automation engineer. And so this brings us to the final thing, which is that AI will make your job change, but it's not going to suddenly make it vanish. That's just the thing that we talked about a moment before, that AI will be your companion. It will help you. It will make your work faster, more reliable, more performant, less error prone and stuff like that. All the things that a good tool is doing, because once again, it is a tool and you should not forget that. So it will make your job a little different. It will make it change. It will make it evolve, but it's not going to suddenly cause it to vanish. And so with that, I thank you for your attention, and I want to once again reiterate that you should go and learn and not use excuses and fear-mongering from the media to actually try and keep you off of it. I hope that you have learned some new perspective here, and I really invite you to a discussion in the comment. I'll be very happy to hear your opinion on that and your opinion on the whole matter. Of course, please remember to like and subscribe. You can visit our Instagram and our Facebook profiles. And as always, I thank you for your attention, and I invite you to all the other videos on the channel. Thank you once again, and keep on rocking.